show, I love telling you all about the inside secrets of Hollywood. And as many of you know, I've been lucky enough to meet so many of the big stars of the golden era of Hollywood. And when you think about those big films, the ones that mean a lot to you, the ones that are shown on those late night channels, and you think, what's the story behind that? How did that particular movie get together? The other night over here on one of the channels, they had that brilliant movie with Joan Crawford, Harriet Craig. Remember that one? And they recently tried to remake it a couple of years back now, I think, for Netflix, with, of course, Kate Winslet. It just didn't have the same thing. Actually, that was Mildred Pierce. But again, it still didn't have the same thing because you can't get a star like Joan Crawford in today's marketing. It simply doesn't work. Now, what was interesting was chatting to Tony Curtis. He, of course, of the sparkling good looks and all of those movies from the early 1950s, used to share a dressing room and a room with Rock Hudson. Told me lots of stories about that. But what was interesting was this, that before Rock Hudson was going to be cast in Magnificent Obsession, the Douglas Sirk movie, well, it was going to be Tony Curtis. But Universal, who had both of them signed to the same studio, did the test, but then they realized, in fact, that Tony Curtis was simply too good looking to star opposite Jane Wyman. A cruel thing to say, but Tony could back it up. Now, let's not forget, Tony was a dashingly good-looking young man, as was Rock Hudson. So what was the true story? Well, as he told me, as the story emerged, they both did the test, they both discussed it back at their bachelor pad, and nobody had a real idea of where this was going to go. It's a romantic drama, a bit of a tearjerker, and all that wonderful classical music attached to it as well. Many different stars were going to be part of it. But Universal wanted to keep a lid on the costs. They were unsure how this would react with audiences. So they decided to go with a cheaper option of that time, which was Rock Hudson. Now, it means nothing, of course, in today's world. Of course, when the movie opened, it soon became a mega box office smash. And I don't know if you know this, but the critics were not kind about the movie. But as Tony pointed out, they were unkind about his other mega movie, of course, Some Like It Hot. Critics weren't kind about that. That went on to be a global smash. What's interesting here, though, is that Jane Wyman, the wonderful actress who went on years later to become Angela Channing in the brilliant soap opera Falcon Crest, well, she was desperate to get Rock Hudson to come back and re-star with her in that particular soap. But you see, Rock had already done things like Macmillan and Wife with Susan St. James, which had been big successful TV series. Wasn't keen at that point to repeat it. She was always a bit upset that he never really returned back to work with her, particularly on her highly rated soap, as I say, with Falcon Crest. But the real axe came when he decided to join a rival soap, that of the ABC Dynasty, alongside Linda Evans, John Forsyth, and of course the ubiquitous Joan Collins. Let's just say it took some time for the waters to thaw out. And Rock Hudson told me this, actually himself, at the BBC TV Theatre in Shepherd's Bush in London. So next time you watch Magnificent Obsession, as I'm sure many of us are going to do over this festive and holiday season, whatever you call it, well, when you look at it, it could have been a totally different film. But could have anybody played that part better than Rock? Or would you prefer to see Tony in it? As ever, do let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget, as ever, to like and share. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.